If you look to GQ, the big watch channels, and to watch auctions, you'll soon realise we love celebrity watches. It doesn't matter if it's Paul Newman or DJ Khaled, we lap it up. So today, we're going to talk about that. Welcome to Doug's Watches, the thinking watch channel. Here, I like to talk art, design, history, theory, and philosophy, and how they all relate to the world of watches. And if that sounds good to you, do make sure to like and subscribe. So celebrity watches. If you look to channels like Nico Leonard and to the guests of her dinky talking watches, you realise that celebrity watches are damn important to our little niche. And why is that? Well, in simple terms, it does very well for engagement. The watch niche on YouTube, while we have some big channels with well over 1 million subscribers, that's nothing compared to the monoliths of YouTube like your Mr. Beasts and Stoke Twins and Alan's Universes. That's what Google tells me the big channels are. I wouldn't know. Ironically, I don't watch much YouTube anymore. The actual number of people on this platform, though, actively engaging with watch content every week, I'd guess maybe a few 100,000, if that. The channels that are larger have gotten there through time, effort, and strategy, not inherent virality. With Teddy Baldassar, his strategy was to produce watch reviews that would gather subscribers who were considering buying a watch, and for Nico Leonard, his approach was to gather people interested in watch-adjacent topics and convert them into watch buyers. And making a video on celebrity works with this, if it's the King, Marcus Rashford, Jay-Z, or roasting Ben Shapiro, because your video can break out of the watch niche into more mainstream spaces, expanding from one individual audience to build a larger collective for yourself. So that's people who engage with content around celebrities, those interested in musicians or football, and it grows your channel through these new eyes, or at the very least gives you a video with lots of views and hopefully a large bit of ad revenue. So that's why we get celebrity watch YouTube videos. In one word, it comes down to growth. But celebrity watch culture goes so much further than this. They're the driving force behind record-breaking watch sales, what watches are cool and not, and what watches are recognised as the cool watches to own. So, as ever on Doug's Watches, the Thinking Watch channel, we're going to unpick this. So the celebrity watch collection is an interesting one. It often seems like all celebrities have a watch collection, and I'd say that might be true. But that's more so because the rich often have a nice watch collection, whether they truly appreciate them or not. See, the nicest watches, the ones we often lust after, are expensive things, and for us normally financially off people, they are rare purchases. Ultimately, Rolex, Patek and AP do not care for the 40-year-old coming in to buy a Submariner that they've always dreamt of. They want their child who got a sizable inheritance as a result of that Submariner owner having successfully exited their business. They want repeat customers, so the whole AD relationship thing is designed to facilitate a strong and profitable relationship once they've found these wealthy people. These people then are often in circles of other people like themselves, and so the watch bug spreads because of, yes, these mechanical heart's little beauty, but also because of the old keeping up with the Joneses phenomenon. Pierre Bourdieu speaks of cultural capital, the idea that items, or in this case watches, have a cultural value that identifies you as someone with taste, appreciation for craft, and maybe even wealth. And if you end up in a world of vast wealth, you need to acquire these things, be that art, vintage cars, or watches, to keep up with your new rich Joneses. It is your ongoing price of membership. And that's the reason why both we watch collectors and normal people are interested by celebrity watch collections. We, as watch collectors and enthusiasts, are genuinely curious to find out what watches of the brands we want to own one day are in vogue. But also, just to see these pieces in some capacity, because I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing a Grubel Forsey when I walk down my local high street. Whereas the non-enthusiast is approaching the watch collection of celebrities from a different angle. Well, two angles. First, there is an element of the society of spectacle to it. Guy Debord's notion that society is now constructed of images produced by an individual's possessions. So, for example, if we look to an Ed Sheeran Talking Watches episode and see his Patek World Timer with Framlingham on the dial, his hometown, alongside a G-Shock, we can come to the conclusion that this man likes watches, but also that he understands the need to not always be flash, and that the simpler things can be enjoyed as well. It's quite endearing, to be honest. Whereas the watches of DJ Khaled, these iced out monstrosities and damn rare Rolex Daytonas project a brash, very Miami-looking image. And society is obsessed with images, how they're curated and their authenticity, so we engage with the wider picture of a celebrity to see if it all adds up and to build an understanding of them, these modern deities. But then for the non-watch fan, I think there is that second angle. It's learning the language of the rich. It's figuring out what their culture values and enables you to think that if you do get into that football club, if your business does take off, if you do win the lottery, you could blend in because you bought the right watch amongst everything else. And that's why we see celebrity watch ambassadors. It's about positioning the brand in front of prospective buyers, building that myth, and making it a symbol that not only watch enthusiasts know, but the one day rich do too. That's why Richard Mille and Tag take their place in Formula One. It's why Rolex signed Roger Federer and Leonardo DiCaprio. It's why Longines signed both Henry Cavill and Jennifer Lawrence. You pick a celebrity that aligns with you and go from there. They are the tastemakers. By choosing a certain watch, they impart their cultural value onto a brand or a particular model, and that might not dictate your watch choice, but it might spark the journey to buying one. So that's why we're obsessed with the celebrity watch collection. But what about individual celebrity watches? Because I think it's a little different when a celebrity becomes connected with one individual watch, and you're already thinking of some watches and some names. Maybe Paul Newman in the Daytona, Muhammad Ali in the Cartier Tank, Steve McQueen and the Tag Heuer Monaco, or Rolex Submariner reference 5512. Or maybe even Bruce Lee's Seiko 6139 chronograph. When someone is elevated to a style icon, the watches they pick are much more important. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter what watches John Mayer or Ed Sheeran own and wear. Their overall impact on the landscape of watches and fashion is relatively minimal, for now at least. Whereas these icons, like Steve McQueen, like Robert Redford and Sean Connery, notably all with a connection to the Submariner, are responsible for imparting, to use both an internet and philosophy word, aura onto a watch. For Walter Benjamin, aura is the unique presence, authenticity, and authority of an original object or artwork. When artworks or objects are mass-produced, their aura is diminished. The authentic original no longer matters. Everyone can see the reproduction. Now, a way to think of this is the Mona Lisa in the Louvre has aura, but the posters and prints of it do not. However, for every copy of it there is, the original becomes less powerful, less beautiful. This is the reason why Paul Newman's Daytona 6239 sold for $17.8 million. People want to capture this irreplaceable aura. There are other 6239s on the market, but not this one. Only this one has the iconic aura of Newman's presence. However, by becoming a well-known celebrity watch, as opposed to just a watch owned by a particular celebrity, I think these watches take on a different meaning culturally, a different cultural value. It's no longer speaking the language of those that are wealthy, but those that know their watches and know their canon of masculine icons. You're not flexing your wealth, you're flexing your love for late 20th century stars and what they represented in fashion and masculinity, but also to watches. This generation of 60s film stars had no real alternative to a mechanical watch, because the quartz watch was not yet a proper thing. And there's something romantic in that. There's an aura in that. See, here is where it gets a bit more interesting. Walter Benjamin argued that when things get reproduced, when you see endless images of an artwork or object, the original loses its aura, its unique presence and authority. You print the Mona Lisa on posters and tea towels, and the painting becomes just another image. But celebrity watches seem to flip that logic on its head. The more these watches are discussed in magazines, on Hodinkee, in endless YouTube thumbnails and auction previews, the more mythical they become, and the more valuable they become. Think about the Patek Philippe 5711. On paper, it's a stainless steel watch with a blue-coloured dial. Nothing especially earth-shattering. But because it's been endlessly photographed on the wrists of Drake, Jay-Z, Leonardo DiCaprio, and whoever else, it's taken on this life of its own. It is not just a watch anymore, it is a fully-fledged cultural signal. And when a watch hits that cultural signal status, something else happens to it. It starts to behave as an asset class. Suddenly, it's not just collectors or enthusiasts chasing it. It is investors, speculators, people who don't care about movement finishing or case bevels or even speaking the language of a certain class, but do care about 30% year-on-year appreciation. And that's why when you walk into an AD and ask about 5711, you would be laughed out of the room, because it was no longer a watch, it was a stock to trade. And it's the cycle of media reproduction that fuels this. Every time a celebrity is papped in a Nautilus or a Royal Oak, it creates another layer of demand, another layer of aura. The more copies of the image circulate, the stronger the original object's market value becomes, because it is recognized as the thing to have. Thus, it is desirable, and it's limited, so you should just get one, hold it, and then sell it. So in a strange twist, the loss of aura has become reversed. The celebrity watch becomes scarce because it is everywhere. And that's why the watches tied to celebrity culture so often turn into the investment darlings. A Paul Newman Daytona 5711, a Royal Oak Jumbo. Because once a watch tips into cultural icon territory, you're not just buying a bit of steel and gears, you're buying the aura, and aura trades very well on the grey market. It is an added layer of insurance. As ever, thanks for watching. If you like my work, do consider becoming a channel member. You'll get an extra video each month and a few other perks. If not, remember to like and subscribe before you go. It helps me out just that little bit. Bye-bye.